What do you think Stevie is next? Do you speculate? I mean, Samuel Lopez kind of was the assistant coach, the other coach with Carlos. He's, as of now, on board. Does Carlos bring in another coach for 2026, if you had to guess?
Yeah, I think so. 100% he brings somebody in.
Carlos Alcaraz just went from having the most stable coaching situation in tennis to potentially choosing between 5 completely different options, and the tennis world is scrambling to figure out which direction he's heading. We've got former champions, Spanish legends, and even his Davis Cup captain all on the table. The speculation is running wild, and every option comes with massive implications for how Carlos's career unfolds from here. Here's my question. Which would be worse? Hiring the wrong coach or having no clear plan at all? So apparently, we've gone from Carlos and Ferrero split up to here are 5 potential replacements in the span of about 3 days. And the tennis media is treating this like some kind of reality TV dating show, where Carlos has to choose his next coaching partner from a lineup of suitors. A Spanish tennis publication just dropped a list of 5 names that could potentially join Samuel Lopez's team. And honestly, the range of options tells you everything about how uncertain this situation really is. Because these aren't 5 similar candidates. These are 5 completely different philosophies, personalities, and approaches. Which means nobody actually knows what Carlos wants or needs right now. Let's break down each of these candidates, because the pros and cons of each option reveal just how complicated this decision actually is. And spoiler alert, every single one of these choices comes with significant downsides that make you wonder if any of them are actually the right move. But hey, Carlos needs a coach, and these 5 names are apparently the frontrunners. So let's get into it.
Andy Murray absolutely has to be Carlos Alcaraz's new coach, and here is why. Alcaraz recently split with Juan Ferrero after 6 years, which brought 6 Grand Slams. He'll continue to work with Samuel Lopez, but he's reportedly on the hunt for a brand new coach, and that should be Andy Murray. In 2022, Murray expressed an interest with working with Alcaraz, citing his huge potential and avid love for the sport as reasons why he would be interested. Murray famously worked with Djokovic following his retirement, and he has suggested he could return to coaching in the future. This year, Murray said he would return to coaching at some stage. He added, "I wasn't planning on going into coaching as soon as I finished playing, but it was a pretty unique opportunity. It was a chance to learn from one of the best athletes of all time." What is Carlos Alcaraz if not one of the best athletes of all time? Murray might not want to return to tennis so soon, but an opportunity to work with Alcaraz could be too good to turn down.
First up, Andy Murray. And immediately we need to address the elephant in the room. Murray just spent 4 months coaching Novak Djokovic, and by all accounts it was incredibly intense and exhausting for him. The article specifically mentions that the experience entailed tremendous strain and has made Murray less interested in full-time coaching commitments. So right off the bat, we're talking about someone who might not even want this job. That's a great start to a potential partnership, right? Hey Andy, we know you just finished a coaching gig that burned you out. But want to do it again? The article says the Alcaraz family considered Murray a year ago, which is interesting timing. That would have been during a period when tensions with Ferrero were apparently building but before the split actually happened. So this isn't a new idea. They've been thinking about Murray for a while, and on paper it makes sense. Murray was #1 in the world. He's won multiple Grand Slams. He's worked with Djokovic and seen that level of excellence up close. He's praised Carlos publicly numerous times, and they've even played against each other back in 2021. The mutual respect is clearly there. But here's the massive problem. Murray is Scottish and would need to relocate to Murcia, Spain, to work closely with Carlos during training blocks. The article calls this lack of geographical proximity a major cooling factor for what could otherwise be a great partnership. And yeah, asking a retired tennis legend who's already expressed coaching fatigue to move to Spain is probably a tough sell. So Murray ends up on the list as the sounds great in theory but probably won't happen option. Classic. Next candidate, Goran Ivanisevic. Now this is where things get interesting from a pure resume standpoint. Goran coached Marin Cilic to a US Open title. He coached Djokovic during one of the most dominant stretches of Novak's career. The man knows how to work with champions. He's available right now after his recent coaching stints ended. And the article points out that his eagerness to take on challenging projects like Stefanos Tsitsipas and Elena Rybakina suggests he'd be very motivated to work with someone of Carlos's caliber. But, and this is a big but, Goran apparently has a hard-hand coaching style that's very similar to Ferrero's approach. And if the entire reason for this split was Carlos wanting more freedom and autonomy, then hiring another coach who's going to impose strict structure defeats the whole purpose. The article specifically says, the potential lack of freedom that Carlos might feel makes the Goran option again a bit chilly. So we've got another candidate who looks perfect on paper but has a fundamental compatibility issue. Sensing a pattern here? Also, let's talk about Goran's track record with coaching relationships. They tend to end abruptly and sometimes messily. Silik's partnership ended. The Djokovic partnership ended. Rybakina's partnership ended quickly. Tsitsipas didn't work out. So you're hiring someone with an incredible coaching resume, but also a history of partnerships not lasting. Given that Carlos just ended a 7-year relationship with Ferrero, is jumping into another potentially volatile coaching situation really the smart move? Questionable. Third option, Nicolas Almagro. And here's where the analysis gets brutally honest. The article straight up admits this would be a gamble, because Almagro lacks experience and a background as a coach at the highest level. So we're talking about hiring someone who's never actually done this job before, at the level Carlos needs. That's bold. That's Carlos betting on friendship and personality fit over proven expertise, which could either be brilliant or a complete disaster with no middle ground. The upside? Almagro is from Murcia. He knows the team. He knows Carlos personally. Their personalities supposedly fit like a glove. He's got the courage to be honest and challenge Carlos when needed. And from a logistics standpoint, he can be based where Carlos trains without any relocation drama. That's all genuinely valuable. The downside? He's literally never coached anyone at this level before. You're asking a guy with no coaching resume to guide the career of a multiple Grand Slam champion who's competing for #1 in the world. That's not a small ask. The article calls this a risky bet that would enhance talent and carry the Murcia brand worldwide. That's a very generous way of saying, this could blow up spectacularly, but hey, at least he's local. If Carlos hires Almagro, he's essentially saying, I value comfort and familiarity over proven coaching expertise. Which is a valid choice, but it's also the kind of choice that gets second-guessed mercilessly if the results aren't there immediately. Fourth candidate, David Ferrer. Now, this one's fascinating because Ferrer has actually worked with Carlos before in Davis Cup situations. He knows Carlos's game. He understands his personality. And crucially, Ferrer is described as having a coaching style that listens and understands his players, rather than imposing a hard-hand approach. Given that Carlos apparently wanted more autonomy, Ferrer could be the perfect balance of experience and flexibility. Plus, there's this detail that Ferrer is practically the only one to end his partnership with Alexander Zverev on good terms. That's actually significant. Zverev has had messy splits with multiple coaches and family members. The fact that Ferrer managed to work with him successfully and part ways amicably suggests he's really good at managing difficult personalities and situations. That's a valuable skill when coaching elite athletes with massive egos and pressure. But, because there's always a but, Ferrer is currently under contract with the Spanish Tennis Federation through 2027. So Carlos would either need to wait, negotiate a buyout, or convince Ferrer to somehow do both jobs. None of those options are simple. Plus, there's the question of whether Ferrer even wants to travel extensively on the ATP Tour given his current role and family situation. So once again, we've got a candidate who makes a lot of sense but comes with significant logistical barriers. And finally, Carlos Moya. This is the option the article describes as the Alcaraz family's winningest bet and the dream pairing. Moya coached Rafael Nadal during some of his most successful years. He's a former #1 himself. He's Spanish, understands the culture and language perfectly. He's proven he can work with generational talent, and help them reach their absolute peak. And here's the kicker. Moya apparently understands that balance on the court comes from enjoying life off it, which aligns perfectly with Carlos's stated desire for more freedom and fun. The article even mentions that Moya tried to make the public understand that balance on the court is found by enjoying life outside it, and it worked very well for him. That philosophy is literally the opposite of Ferrero's become a slave to tennis approach. So from a compatibility standpoint, Moya could be exactly what Carlos needs right now. Someone with championship-level expertise who also respects the need for personal balance and happiness. But naturally, there are complications. Moya is connected to the Nadal Academy. There are rumors linking him to Jannik Sinner, Carlos's biggest rival. Would Moya even be available? Would he want to leave his current setup? And even if he's interested, is there awkwardness about working with someone directly competing against players from the Nadal Academy system? These are real questions that don't have easy answers. Now let's step back and look at what this list of 5 candidates actually reveals about the situation. Because the fact that these 5 names are so wildly different tells you that nobody, including probably Carlos himself, has a clear vision for what comes next. If you knew exactly what you needed in a coach, you wouldn't have a list that includes both inexperienced local guy who's never coached at this level and legendary champion with proven track record but potential personality clashes. Those are completely opposite directions. This list reads less like, here are the 5 finalists we're seriously considering, and more like, here are 5 names we came up with when a journalist asked us for possible options. It's speculation dressed up as reporting. And that's fine, except it reflects how genuinely uncertain this entire situation is. Carlos split with Ferrero without apparently having a clear succession plan. Now everyone's scrambling to figure out what happens next. And these 5 names represent 5 completely different visions for Carlos's future. Option 1. Murray. Proven champion who might not want the job and definitely doesn't want to move to Spain. Option 2. Ivanisevic. Incredibly successful coach whose style might recreate the exact problems that caused the Ferrero split. Option 3. Almagro. Friendly local gamble with 0 high-level coaching experience. Option 4. Ferrer. Perfect personality fit who's currently employed elsewhere. Option 5. Moya. Dream candidate who might not be available and comes with potential conflicts of interest. That's not a list of strong candidates. That's a list of compromises and question marks. Each option makes you ask, but what about? And when you're talking about coaching the world number 1, but what about shouldn't be the primary reaction to every candidate. Carlos Alcaraz went from the most stable coaching situation in tennis to potentially choosing between 5 completely different options, and none of them are slam dunks. Every candidate has major question marks that make you wonder if this split was fully thought through. If you want to follow this coaching saga as it unfolds, hit that like button and subscribe, because this story is far from over.